Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, I thought it would be important for me to give you an overview. And I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible because I don't want to get bogged down in all the details. I just want to give you an overview. But I would like to begin by saying to you that it is no secret that the number one low-level opinion of a profession is the legal profession. They're down there with used car salesmen. And you know what? The legal profession deserves that. Now, I was for lack of a better word, a very aggressive attorney. In addition to that, I was a business getter. I let it rain. People came to me. I exuded confidence, worked hard, communication skills, talent, not afraid to try a case. Business flew to me. Now, I became a lawyer, the youngest in the state of Kentucky for at least a year, back in 1988. Then I was with a big law firm, and I left and I started my own. And what happened is I grew and grew and grew, and it got so big. I mean, I had 20-some lawyers, 20-some odd staff members, and I was getting all the big cases. A group, you can't make this up, it is true. A group of lawyers in Northern Kentucky decided that this has got to stop. This has got to stop. They actually went out and started putting a word out to other lawyers, said, hey, you ever have a battle with Eric and did he ever, piss you off or something like that? So they started orchestrating all these bar complaints against me. And I just fight them off. And then it was like in 2010, I had this big hearing in front of, you can't make this up, Frank Doney, who was the member of the Kentucky Bar Foundation, and also works at Dinsmore and Shoal, one of our biggest rivals, okay? And he recommends a 6-month suspension on all these balloons. I mean, here is an example of what they were about. My secretary on a probate form, we applied for guardianship for both our client, the mom, and the dad, who we did not represent, in the spirit of cooperation. On behalf of the mom, we asked the court to appoint both of them co-guardians. They said that was representing the guy without his permission. He already had a lawyer who got notice of it. We said, no, we're doing this on her behalf. We're asking you to appoint both. They said, well, that's representing him without his permission. I mean, that's the absurd type of things. Okay, I said something about a judge on the radio because it was clearly a corrupt thing. So these are the type of things that I did. So I fought it. I get a 60-day suspension from that. 60 days. Now I'm thinking, okay, fine, no big deal. Well, little did I know that they allow Kentucky Bar Council to object to your automatic reinstatement, so you have to apply to get reinstated again. This is the analogy that I've used. It's like you get sentenced to 30 days or 60 days in jail, and rather than getting out automatically, the prosecutor gets to say, you've got to prove to me that you deserve to get out of jail. How absurd is that? That is the rule that the Kentucky Bar Association has. Violates all due process. It's wrong. So I immediately applied for reinstatement. I went through it really quick. Character and Fitness Committee at the time approved me unanimously, 3-0. Board of Governors, 13-0 against me. The Kentucky Supreme Court voted 7-0 to reinstate me. So, when I went through that process, one of the things they said was, hey, you can't fight this. You've got to cooperate. So I adapted a different policy on all of this stuff. Now, there were some these bar complaints that were pending that started after I went through that process already. In other words, they were already in the pipeline. So I said, okay, I won't fight this. Give me a 60-day suspension, blah, blah, blah. Even though I went through the reinstatement process, got the seal approval, 1 year later, the KBA Bar Council objected to my automatic reinstatement again. And when you go through reinstatement, they stick a microscope up your butt. They review all your finances, everything. I mean, everything. So here I am having to go through the reinstatement process again 1 year later. It was absolutely wrong. Now, meanwhile, Ohio has a rule that says if you're suspended in Kentucky, you're suspended in Ohio. So I had to give up my Ohio license. Why? Because they had a rule that if you're suspended, you can't work in the law office where you got suspended from. Another stupid rule. But I gave up my Ohio law license so I could work on the Durrani cases, something which, thank God, I did. So then I go through the reinstatement process again. I said, heck with it. I just want to retire. Can't make this up. I tried to retire. They wouldn't let me retire, folks. Under what rules of a profession do they say you can't retire so we can keep punishing you? I know this all sounds crazy because it is crazy and it's all true and no one can ever refute this because it's the damn truth. So I go through the reinstatement process. I can't retire. I also challenged that rule about their objecting. Can't make this up. A Frankfurt federal judge found it constitutional. I did a Sixth Circuit panel with a 92-year-old retired judge who used to be the president of the Michigan Bar Association. Says that rule is constitutional. It's not. But the court ruled that it was. So I go through the reinstatement. They sit on it for 2 years. Then we complain to the court. Then they finally initiate it. Then I'm told that I ought to hire some big shot lawyers, which I did. 2 well-connected lawyers. Do you know how many votes they got me? Nothing. A lot of money? Nothing. So then I finally go through that reinstatement process, and it was hell. I mean, 5 years, folks. 5 years. I even had to do a psychological exam. By the way, how many people running for governor are going to be able to say, they can tell you, well, I had a psychological exam and I'm good to go. No problems. No mental health problems. But then they change the rules. They decide, well, the issue isn't whether you can follow the rules, but will you follow the rules? So then I went through the reinstatement process, unanimously against me at the Character and Fitness, unanimously against me at the Board of Governors, unanimously against me by the Kentucky Supreme Court. And the essence of the refusal to reinstate me boils down to this. It all boiled down to this. We don't trust him to respect the bar and the court system and follow our rules. He's too aggressive, too much of an outlaw. Well, I said, fine, I'm out, I retire. I don't need to be a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer. That is my whole story. Now, folks, this is a fact. Nowhere in the public realm of my bar battle will you find that I ever stole money, committed a crime, that I ever did some dastardly deed, on and on and on, committed some fraud, lied to the court. I mean, none of that. And yet I sit here today, a retired Kentucky and Ohio lawyer, because of that system. Meanwhile, you got people like Linda Talley-Smith screwing cops that are on the case, still has their law license. Keith Johnson raping somebody in Campbell County, still has his law license. Robert Poole, sex trafficking, kept his law license through the whole thing. On and on and on. So, ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation. Oh, then they file a motion for contempt against me. You saw my response to that. I'm not the least bit worried about that. I'd love to have a hearing on it. They can't stop me from working. Now, I got to just tell you something. They totally miscalculate this. There's so many people out there going, how can he run for governor? You know, he got suspended. By the way, another thing that really hits my crawl, I've never been disbarred. There was never a disbarment proceedings. They just wouldn't reinstate me. I've never been disbarred. Why? Because there's no basis to disbar me. So get this. I tested this out at Freedom Fest when I spoke. I said, how many people out there like lawyers? Boo. Boo. So this is the big miscalculation that's going on with my enemies and the media and everything else. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, I can look at Kentuckians square in the eye, and I can ask Kentuckians, who would you rather have as governor of Kentucky? Another lawyer or somebody who fought the whole legal system for people who were injured and harmed by that system and gave up his law license in the process? I like my chances. And by the way, another little cherry on top of my story I just thought of. Andy Beshear and his father, Steve Beshear, come from Stites and Harbison. Guess who the law firm is for the Kentucky Bar Association? You guessed it, Stites and Harbison. So ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, I think most Kentuckians hate lawyers, and they should hate lawyers. I think most Kentuckians despise how the court system is unfair, despise the court system of how long it takes. And I know it all, folks. And I am going to bust my fanny as governor to help reform that. I might need the legislature on some of these issues, but by golly, as sitting as the head of the third branch of government, the most powerful, I promise you I will get things done. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. No dastardly deed.